Hi, my name is Kirsten Jacobson. Welcome to my Earthship at the Greater World Community in Taos, New Mexico.
This video is sponsored by Bioptimizers, and they have put together a very special deal for you guys. So click the link in the description below and get your exclusive free product bundle now.
I found out about Earthships when I was in college. The first time I heard the word, I was immediately like, I have to find out more about these buildings and these people that are living off the grid. I was fascinated with the idea. So an Earthship is an off-the-grid building that has passive solar design, is made with natural and repurposed materials, creates all its own electricity with solar and sometimes also wind power, harvests all its own water, uses it 4 times within the building, and sometimes grows food inside the building as well. Earthships were founded by Michael Reynolds, who is trained as an architect and has been in the Taos area for 50 years researching and developing these types of homes. I worked for him for 25 years, and in 2018 I went out on my own to do my own off-grid education and different projects. When I started building this house, it was not legal at that time for me to get a building permit to build a full-on house. So I was forced to start small, which actually turned out to be a huge benefit. I could legally build 120 square feet, considered to be a storage shed. It's not technically legal to live in a building like that, but I did for 6 years as I built the rest of the house around me with no power tools, no running water, no electricity, so I was building really by hand in a very primitive way in the beginning. I kept track of all the hours that I was working on it and kept every receipt. And then I realized when I was in the throes of actually building it, that was just another thing that I had to do that I didn't have the time or energy for. Then I went to finish the building, add this side on, add the systems. Everything I needed cost at least $1,000. I decided after very careful consideration to take out a construction loan to finish the building. So in total, I had to borrow about $150,000. I still have a mortgage, but I have a house payment that's less than renting anything in town with no utility bills. It was actually difficult to calculate the square footage of this house once it was complete because there's the round dome and the curve on the front face, so it's just under 1,100 square feet. This home, like all the homes in this community, catches all its own water from the sky, stores it in cisterns, then you use that for bathing dishes. There's an additional filter for drinking water. Then that once used gray water goes in through the planter inside the building. The plants aerate and treat and use up some of the water. Then you flush the toilet with that gray water. Then that goes outside to a conventional 1,000-gallon septic tank where the effluent and the solids get separated. And then the liquid effluent from that goes into an evapotranspiration cell that's fully lined with EPDM rubber and plants on top to use up that water. Then there's another overflow from that to a conventional leach field as per code. But generally with these buildings, no water is going into the leach field because it's all getting sucked up in the ET cell. Around the back of the house, we have the propane tank and the cisterns are buried here in the berm. I started with a 1,700-gallon cistern and quickly realized that was not enough storage. So a few years into living in the house, I added another 1,400 gallons. For the propane, I have a 250-gallon tank and it runs the on-demand hot water heater, the stove, and the refrigerator. And I fill it up about once a year and it costs about $400. And here's the solar array. It's 1.8 kilowatts of generating capacity. When I first built the house, I had fewer solar panels and more batteries. So the batteries struggled to maintain a good charge all the time. Now I have fewer batteries and more panels and the batteries are full all the time. And that's about it for the outside. Let's go inside. When we went to build the power organizing module, I was still kind of mindful of my budget and of all the components that make up the balance of your solar system. The inverter is one of the most expensive parts. And so I had the guys at the power company build me this wall with room for a really nice inverter that I plan on installing one day in the future. And in the meantime, I use this $300, 1,750 watt inverter that I'd actually use to run the cement mixer and the power tools while building my house. Everything I need for the house just to function are running directly off the batteries. And then the inverter is for things you want to plug into the wall, for the internet, for the TV, for fans, for a blender, for any conventional AC appliances. Then you have the inverter. I went for a propane refrigerator when I built the house. I was kind of running low on funds. Now I could probably replace it with a DC or AC super efficient refrigerator because my solar system is so big now, there'd be plenty of power for it. This isn't your typical Earthship layout. It's a little bit custom. It's got this round front face here. So all the framing and the metal for the front face is custom to that curve. Because I wanted to have this round curve when I went to actually install the kitchen cabinets and do everything, and I wanted this window here with this east view of the mountains, it meant that I had no space for upper cabinets. So this kitchen's kind of small, all the cabinets are down below, but I wanted to design my house based on the flow of my day, and my first thing in the morning is to get up and make a cup of coffee. And so to look at the mountains when I get up and make a cup of coffee is a dream. In the winter, the sun pours into the space, heats up the very dense mass of the walls and the floor, and then at night, when the temperature in the room drops below the temperature in the walls, heat is released into the space. I have these operable honeycomb shades here to keep unwanted heat out in the summer, but also to keep the heat in the winter time. Even though it's thermal pane, double tempered glass, you can get heat or cold kind of transferring through that, and these shades really help mitigate that. In this house, I choose to do poured concrete floors. It's definitely not my favorite building material. I just wanted something simple and long-lasting that would have thermal mass for storing the temperature. Also, it was important for me to have finishes that were easy to clean. And so maybe that's just my practical side. So this dome is just storage now, but I used to live in this tiny little space. Some people did a similar thing to me, building a small hut and then building their ultimate building, living in the hut. And some people left the hut to the side and didn't incorporate it into their building. I felt like it was so much work just to do that. I wanted to be part of my building. So the first thing I did was build these retaining walls on either side so the earth could get buried behind the building. So these walls are actually made out of wine bottles laid in cement and then plastered over with adobe mud plaster. And then I put a bond beam above that so I could do the roof framing and the windows for the exterior. And then I had this idea that I wanted the curve. So we kind of struck a radius from inside the dome, and the dome influenced the shape of the space. So it was a kind of a natural evolution, not the best way for permitting reasons, but the result is kind of fluid and is a space that I love. Originally, you would close these and that was the outside space. And so the addition from here on kind of happened in all one big phase at the same time, coming back through and doing all the finishes to complete the house. I wanted a round bathroom without giving too much thought to how complicated that was going to be for the plumbing and the venting of the bathroom, but you know, you got a dream, and that's what makes this building unique. It's got 2,400 clear glass bottles that I cut in half and taped to make these bottle bricks. All of this was plastered with a palette knife, which is about as wide as my finger. So tick, 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 all this little plaster. It was extremely labor intensive, but again, you gotta stick with what you want to stay inspired. I have an antique clawfoot bathtub. And then the toilet is just, you know, it's just like a conventional toilet, but it's flushing with gray water. So it's not like a strange composting toilet or something people might be traumatized by using for the first time. This planter here is using all the water from the bathroom sink and shower. The water flows into the planter and the plant roots use up some of the water, but also aerate and treat the water and clean it up enough that you can flush the toilet with this water. So there's this pump panel at the end here. When you flush the toilet, that pump runs and fills the tank with twice used water for flushing the toilet. And since all the water we have is only the water we catch from the roof, it's really important to use that water. I have a lot of banana trees here. They're great for sucking up the water, and we just took the biggest banana tree out because it was kind of crowding everything. And you can see these little baby trees that are growing in its place. So once you get them going, you never need to get another banana tree. They'll just keep having pups. There's an artist in town named Kirsten, and she's an amazing painter. And she had done this finish on a restaurant in town. And I was in love with the color, and my friend Anna knew how to faux finish. So as a birthday present, she got the recipe from Christine and faux finished this wall. The palette of the house is mostly neutral. I didn't go too crazy with color, but I did want that wall. This is a typical Earthship U space. If you looked at a floor plan, you'd see a U shape of tires that have been pounded up, and there's trusses for the roof above, insulation in the bays between the trusses, and then decking, and this has metal roofing on the top. And I have a big skylight in the back for light and natural ventilation, which I love. Lying under that skylight on a hot summer night and feeling that cool breeze drop down on you is the most amazing feeling. Floor is bamboo. You're always kind of having to balance your dream product or material with the reality of what it's made out of. And so I was like, wow, bamboo is renewable. It only takes 6 years to harvest. I ordered it online, didn't really look into it too much, got it delivered. And it was made in China and shipped here. And so if I really wanted to spend time, I could do an entire life cycle analysis and compare the difference between using some American wood versus what this took. But I can't feel too bad. I like the way it turned out. It was simple to put on. And when you wake up in the morning, putting your feet on wood, I think is nicer than the concrete. It was difficult to stay constantly inspired. And so I think I learned some good life lessons about that. You're not gonna be inspired every moment, but in order to move forward, you just still have to put one foot in front of the other. And sometimes you have to take whatever other things you're feeling, anger or frustration or fatigue even, and channel that into moving forward on the building. So I would go through bursts of energy where I'd work on it every day after work, work on it every weekend day. And then there were times in the winter where it was cold, I was living in the little dome, I was lonely, I was bored, and I would just take the little money that I'd saved to work on my house and, go to Spain for a month or something like that. Like, I wasn't the most dedicated, but I did complete it. Once I started, I couldn't really stop. So I was kind of forced to finish the building, and I'm really glad that I did. If you have the opportunity to try to create an off-grid life for yourself, I would say it's gonna be scary, and I guarantee you, you're not gonna know everything you need to know. Don't wait for that. Learn a few basic skills, get started, start small, and then you can go crazy and make it as artsy as you want.
Hold on for just 1 minute because you're not going to want to miss this deal. Bioptimizers has put together a special deal for you guys that is only available while supplies last, so you're going to want to hop on this quick. Here's the deal. You're going to get a free 30-day supply of their enzyme supplement called Mass Zymes. You're also going to get a copy of their book From Sick to Superhuman and a free copy of their carnivore cookbook. All you have to do is click the link below and fill out a short form and then pay for shipping. This is a bundle valued at $65 and they're going to send it for free. So all you have to do is click the link below, fill out the form, and pay for shipping. Seriously, it's a great deal and I recommend you check it out now. There's no strings attached. There's no subscription. There's no renewal. There's nothing to cancel. They're just going to send you a free supply, 30 days of Mass Zymes, the book From Sick to Superhuman, and their new carnivore cookbook. Like I said, this deal is only available while supplies last, so click the link in the description or pinned comment and get your exclusive free bundle pack today. Thank you for watching and have a great week.